So this is Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple, and I'm just checking in really with some musings that I've been having and some occurrences that have been happening within the work this week that I've been doing on myself and with the work that I do with clients and women in my groups. And I want to speak to this thing because it's becoming really, really apparent in our spiritual world and within sacred spiritual work and work that involves us being conscious or evolving as conscious beings. So I really wanted to speak about this. I have had a few instances over the last month, I'd say, where when I'm starting to work with women and we work deep into the psyche and into their shadow and into their unconscious, there is a place that when they start to reveal the hurts and the wounds and the places that are revealing themselves, that they begin to feel like they're actually going backwards, that they begin to feel like they are more wounded than they thought they were. And I just want to put this out there that is so true, that when we start to do the real work, we get rid of the illusions that we're these, you know, completely healed. I mean, I can go into that later, but that we're not wounded people. We all are, and no one's exclusive of that. And so anyone that believes they don't have a father wound or a mother wound, or that they have, you know, deep core wounds that need addressing, then they're in a deep veil of illusion. There are certain areas in all our lives where we have excelled and those that we are held back in. And it's kind of like a spiral. It doesn't mean because you have acquired great happiness, you know, obviously happiness is the goal, but if I found love in my relationships, that I am above somebody else in all areas. Like we have these areas that we excel in, and we move forward in them. So there's always this place, I always feel it in my own work, that when I do deep pieces of work with my analyst, and at the moment I've been doing like 3 hours of psychoanalysis in one-to-one, and then I'm doing like hours of Jungian individuation process, and that involves doing a practice and applications, written applications where I'm going into unconscious material. You know, I find that, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm worse than I was 10 years ago. But that is evolution. People are looking for this constant high, and that constant high is an illusion. Like, I am a priestess, I am a goddess, I am in so evolved in my feminine, I've attracted my divine twin flame. I mean, feel it's false. We are all in a state of healing because the world is showing us all that at the moment. And these claims, you know, it's hard not to judge these claims when you see people making them. You know, like I've seen videos of you know, people that have like relate different relationships, like 20 in the past 3 years, and then claiming each one is a soulmate, and then a twin flame, and then suddenly it's the sacred union partner. And there are deep wounds there that are not wanting to be seen because they're in this labeling process and this illusion process. And then, of course, that attracts a million women who are like, oh, yeah, I want twin flame. I'm going to jump into this course. And it's a collusion with wounds. And it's not until you do start to do the deep psychological work on yourself that you begin to see where you've colluded with that in the past. And I'm holding both hands up right now because I've deeply colluded with that in the past, and I thought myself to be better than I was. You know, like 10 years ago, I was in circles where we were all like, we are evolved at this level and we are embodying like the Magdalene, or I'm embodying Mary. And oh my gosh, it was all a way of like covering. So we all have a way of covering the truth about ourselves, and it's becoming super accentuated in our spiritual world. I'm seeing that really, really highlight such false claims of enlightenment or individuation. it's also really hard to share those spaces that you're in and the wounds that you're doing is, and I'm using my story to illustrate, because a lot, you know, like I said, 10 years ago I was doing work with lots of women, and I had kind of put myself on a guru platform, and in my own illusion of myself, and that often attracts great amounts of people because we all want that. And when I started to do the deeper work, the shadow work, and let's not forget that shadow work is only the footsteps into the real work, which works with like animus and anima. So people aren't even doing the shadow work. They're not even willing to have themselves called out to see those wounds. Everybody wants to sit on the surface. No one wants to go to the pain. And I was there, like I really was there. And obviously, when we go to the pain, it kind of messes with who we think we are. And there's no progress of the soul without going to that emotional pain. You know, Rumi, everyone you read will describe the the crushing pain, the crushing of the grapes, to feel the fruits, to feel the joys. And that isn't like, oh, I did that in my childhood. This is a constant motion of going into the painful places, the things you don't want to see, the things you don't want to feel. I mean, the work I've been doing, I thought I'd gone into the father wound very deeply. And I'm like now in a space where I'm like, how did I not even see that? How did I not feel it? And of course, that's an evolution in my own consciousness and into the father wound. So I really wanted to speak to this because I find it very, very impactful in the healing work out there. I feel there's many people being spun round in webs of illusion with teachers that are professing to be certain ways because maybe one part of their life is successful, and then leading all women into that, like, that illusional state, like you are a goddess, you are this, you are that. And I've seen that sticking plaster a lot, like you are a goddess, and if I say that to women, you are powerful, more and more and more and more, they're going to believe it. But really what's underneath that I am a goddess is like here, underneath here, it still lives within her cellular information, all the places that she really isn't. And I found that in my current group, you know, there's people who maybe have had that kind of rhetoric told to them and are now finding those places inside them that are not fixed and they're not healed, and it's certainly not goddess. So be wary out there. You know, we all love illusion. I love an illusion as good as the next person, where that makes me have ideas of grandeur, or where that makes me feel better, where I don't have to admit the unconscious behaviors of myself or the unconscious patterns that live within me. So it's time to like to step up for all of us. And I really want to highlight that the more work you do on the self, the less work you feel you've done on yourself, and that's the truth, because it reveals more and more and more, and you actually begin to let go of the I'm going to heal. I used to say I'm going to at one minute in this life I'm going to be so excuse me, so healed, and now I'm really like, okay, that's never happening in this life. It's so big, and you know, ancestrally and culturally and societal and mother and father and structural wounds will really keep me going through this life and beyond into the next. So I have a certain realism now about myself, and I always find that the realer I am with people, the more that people go, oh God, she's really wounded. And I've had this projected on me so much in the past that when I've come to a state of saying, this is currently where I'm at, and these are the things going on with me, they look and go, oh, I thought you were much more evolved than that. I thought you'd healed that. And it's very telling. It shows that, you know, the depth of where they've been, or where they're willing to go in themselves. So I'm very aware of that, and this is a pattern that plays out for me, that I am vulnerable and share these things, and then suddenly that makes somebody see that they may be more evolved than me, or they don't have those things that I carry, but the truth is they've just not discovered them. So stay true to your path, and to knowing that the things that we're going through, the pains, the suffering, and I've got many women around me that are doing this work, and we're not putting a stick and plaster on ourselves. I'm not preaching to them going, being an illusion, be this goddess, be the Magdalene with me, because I know what women hold, and I know the pains we hold, and I know the psychological issues that we all have, and that is inescapable with what is happening in our collective at the moment. So stay true to your path, do the deep work, go where hurt, go what brings up resistance, what really will challenge you on an emotional level, because without emotion there is no healing. And I've taught that for years and years. Without emotion, without the tears, without the anger, without all those places that it deeply touches inside of you and messes with your head and makes you want to hide under your duvet for days, it really is part of the process. So sending you all huge amounts of love from my open and vulnerable space that I'm currently in as I work through deep soul wounds, and praying that everybody that I know and work with can really go there in themselves, so we begin to see a change in humanity, we see a change in the collective. So have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you all again soon.